Hello my friends, family, well-wishers, welcome back to Las Vegas. Quick shout out to the MGM Resorts and Surfshark and everyone else that has supported us on this journey, which is the right word. We're outside the Luxor Hotel, where we have been running a bunch of events, which was cool. Thank you to everyone who came to Live Ups and Downs last night. Got some graffiti here today, lag burned one here, pretty sure that's a drug reference, but good vibes only. And maybe this is a nice catchphrase for today, because we are going to talk about the fact that Jey Uso won the World Heavyweight Championship last night as I am talking to you. I don't know how true this is, but I know that people do enjoy looking at YouTube videos and figuring out engagement. Apparently, the YouTube video of Jey Uso beating Gunther has a lot of dislikes. I think that's a problem. I think if you liked it, great. If you didn't like it, that's also fine. But I'm a little bit surprised about the rage. I feel like there's nothing wrong with this either. Maybe we've all forgotten what wrestling is meant to be, right? When we get to the culmination of the story, the good guy should win and the bad guy should lose. And of course, we can get into the weeds about how we treat certain characters and how we treat certain individuals. But when I sat there watching it, and if Gunther would have won that match, I would have been absolutely devastated. I think the coolest thing about new WWE is that you can take a guy like Jey Uso. Again, go back to 2014, wherever they debuted the Usos, with Tamina as their manager. And you would have said, so in around about 11 years' time, this guy would have been the World Heavyweight Champion. If I had said that to you, you should have punched me in the face. Because under the old WWE guard, they wouldn't have done that, even if he had got over, even if the catchphrase had connected. How many people did we see? Damien Sandow, Rusev. I mean, there'll be a bunch of other guys. I'm not going to stand here and list names, so we'll forget one of them, who we wanted more from, but they never really got it. I mean, when AJ Styles debuted, and he got that big pop at the 2016 Rumble, he was told by Vince McMahon, it's probably a fluke. I mean, that really is battling uphill. So, to make the decision, I doubt Jey Uso was ever written in to win the Royal Rumble until the Yeet stuff got over, until the crowd connection stuff got over. And I don't understand why the conversation's gone whether he's a good wrestler or not. I would say that he arguably, not even arguably, he just is a good wrestler. You can't make it to WWE by fluke. Anyway, we're getting off track.
A big thanks to Surfshark for getting us to WrestleMania and sponsoring all of our content from Las Vegas. Surfshark's VPN is brilliant. It makes sure all your stuff stays private and secure when you're out and about online, and they have a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Not only that, but it allows you to change your virtual location to access all of your favorite content, which means you could watch all of WWE's shows on Netflix, not just Raw, but NXT and SmackDown as well. There's no ads, and it even allows you to see the extra content us Brits get to see too. Stuff like this. Just click the link in the description and use code WhatCultureMania at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN.
But just the way that I sort of view wrestling narratives, which should be a bit like fairy tales, where you just get a nice ending. Like the rom-com. I always talk about the rom-com. I mean, it would be cool if you watched a rom-com when it ended with the two leads, maybe one stabs the other one in the face. It would be a bit of a surprise, but it's much nicer when they get together, because it breeds hope and it breeds love and it breeds opportunity and hope and all these different words. I think I said hope twice there, which is an interesting thing. And I suppose the reason maybe it's got such backlash, which is very interesting, because backlash is in a few weeks, where I think Jey Uso may lose that world title, is because of the finish, right? He hits the splash, he hits the splash, he hits the splash, he then decides, Gunther did stand up on his own weight, don't forget, I'm going to choke you out. And he applies the choke and Gunther taps out. Now, the poetic side of this is that's what Gunther did to Jimmy Uso when he tried to kill him. So Jey Uso was getting revenge, he was being the bigger man. I actually thought it was interesting that Jimmy Uso didn't even get involved. I thought you could come up with, when Gunther smashed Jey in the face with the belt, I thought that was going to be the justification, I suppose, for Jimbo to come out, because be like, well, the bad guys cheated, so now the good guys are justified in trying not to cheat, but obviously try to balance the odds. So I've been thinking about this all day. Now, I'm not saying this is you, I could be wrong and you can correct me in the comments. I think some of the criticism does come from people that may not have watched Raw. Because after Gunther had done that to Jimmy, Jey changed as a person. He started wearing dark clothing, he got way more serious in his promos. And when he got in Gunther's face and said, when I beat you at WrestleMania, I'm going to call my mum and say how great it was. Don't forget, Gunther was laughing. By the end, he showed a little bit of fear. And then what did we do at the start of this match? Gunther was showing fear. He was powdering out the ring. He was getting away. He wanted to sort of, I don't know, just assess his options, I suppose. He wasn't as aggressive until we got into the middle of the match after he had done some nefarious things. And listen, if you love the Gunther character, and I love the Gunther character, he's amazing, world championship material, of course we'll get it back one day, but he's still the bully, he's still the villain, he's still the bad guy. So for him to get locked in a choke and decide, I'm cowardly, I don't really have a backbone, maybe my bark is louder than my bite, and I am just going to tap out like that, rather than, and once again, the internet is so crazy these days, I need to make it clear, of course you're allowed to think that, more power to you. It's nice that we can have this conversation. But I would much rather we try to look at the nuance. I'm not saying that WWE is doing this, I'm just saying I would like it to be part of the chat. But look at the nuance of Gunther and actually go, oh man, maybe it was all a facade, maybe he was tricking me, and maybe Jey Uso had his number and he knew he was going to do this. I certainly wouldn't have wanted Gunther to have passed out. That's a babyface move. Go back to Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. One of the reasons Steve Austin sort of became this incredible babyface, because man, he's so heroic. He has the blood coming down his head, but he will not give up. I want Gunther to be a guy that gives up instantly. If you really want to go crazy with it, you could say that he's smart. He's so smart, he knows, well, I don't want to go unconscious. Maybe that will cost me a paycheck for a little while. And if we want to bring the real world into it, don't do this, don't try it at home. But if you were in La La Land to apply a real chokehold to someone, believe you me, you would tap out pretty quickly because you don't want to die. And I mean, you can argue that till the cows come home. So I think it would have been a terrible mistake for Jey Uso not to be the world champion right now. Let's try new things. Gunther has had a wonderful reign since SummerSlam last year. Once again, he'll absolutely be a two-time, three-time champ, whatever the flub it would be, two-time champ. Eventually, maybe even wins the WWE title one day. But I do not want to give opportunities to people, especially when you look at WrestleMania overall. We go to the main event, best match of the night, could be the best match of the weekend when all is said and done. Seth Rollins has aligned himself with Paul Heyman. Now, I saw some people saying, oh, maybe Seth Rollins is going to go after John Cena. Doesn't make sense anymore. That's a heel versus heel match. So I would bet my hairline that Seth and Paul Heyman are going to go after Jey Uso, maybe even get a match at Backlash, and I would advocate for them to win. They can totally screw over Jey Uso. Again, they're a brand new bad guy pairing. Of course they're going to cheat, especially to underline that they are meant to be assholes. But then Jey, I've said this a lot, so you have to forgive me for watching my content. I think it's so important. It sucks that he has to be the sacrificial lamb. But I think he has that connection with the crowd where actually he will garner more sympathy, which is what a babyface needs more than anything. Doesn't matter what else you've got in your arsenal, you need people to care about you. So if he only holds the belt for less than a month, or maybe just more than a month, whatever Backlash is, and it is Seth and Paul that take that belt, not only does it really establish Seth Rollins' heel turn, not only does it establish Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman as, you know, a duo that you're going to have to deal with, or maybe kind of try to outsmart, but also means someone's become a world champion and they didn't hold the belt till 2072. And someone was always going to have to pull that short straw because everybody is having long title reigns, which I get because maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, we did get short title reigns and it was hard to believe somebody is a champion. Obviously, less is more. The less you do it, and then you do see a title change, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, which does help for WrestleMania moments. But I'm pretty sure that WWE would be aware of this, and Jey Uso does feel like the right guy to me. And it also means come Backlash, I don't know who Randy Orton is going to face later, maybe it is me, I'll check my email in a minute. But if Randy Orton wins, which he should do, and he's on the poster for Backlash, if your two main events are going to be Randy Orton versus John Cena, which Randy Orton doesn't need to win, especially because who knows, right? Maybe Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman will align themselves with The Rock and John Cena's group, you don't know. But you also have Seth going against Jey Uso. I think that's a really interesting just mix of world championship matches. You've got your legends, and I mean, I wouldn't call Seth a new guy in the mix, but Jey Uso is. But Seth feels new, because again, when was the last time Seth was properly heel? Like 3 years ago, 4 years ago? I mean, he's certainly been treading that line since the whole CM Punk and Roman Reigns thing kicked off. And eventually, I think you do want to do Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for the championship. So I want to see how all this plays out. I think the WWE has proven that they will remember the past, and I mean, I don't go off piece here, but that is the whole Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman thing. You go back to War Games, now you can justify it in your head that maybe Seth Rollins turned down the bloodline because Paul Heyman and him were like, look, we've got a plan. Let's rope Punk into this, let's trick Roman. So I'm very excited about it. And if we get to the second match between Jey Uso and Seth Rollins, I don't believe Jey Uso will win. So then eventually he will have to leave the world title picture, maybe even before SummerSlam, and then we have to see where he ends up. But I think one of my favorite things about new WWE, as I keep saying that phrase, is that anybody feels like they could be a star. The main event picture has a bunch of people. Like if Cody Rhodes loses tomorrow, he could feud with Drew McIntyre. Even if Damien Priest win, maybe you could do something with that too, but I doubt that will happen. And that's something that we have to keep up. I would love one day someone like Ludwig Kaiser to be a world championship guy. Maybe a Carmelo Hayes. Maybe Rusev, he's about to come back. And Aleister Black. You know, these are guys that are always on that precipice. And we never allowed them to push through. But now we know. Like if Rusev Day took off tomorrow, maybe by WrestleMania 42 he'd be in the main event. And this bald a-hole would be super duper happy. So I'm just excited about the future. Again, you don't have to like the story. You don't have to like the execution. But Jey Uso to me had to come out of WrestleMania being the world champion. Even more so if John Cena wins it tomorrow, I don't think you can have too much evil on one show, especially when you get to the showcase of the Immortals. There has to be some warm and fuzzy feeling in your tum-tum, right? Wrestling is a show that is meant to inspire and not make you feel like, man, this is the worst thing ever, which is something that has been, critical of many promotions over the years. When it's heel win, heel win, heel win, heel win. Even if you don't notice it consciously, you're like, man, I'm getting a little bit down in the dumps here. And it's probably because the bad guy is on top. And the bad guy has to be on top, but when you get to the moment, the good guy has to win. And Jey Uso, whether we like him, we don't like him, in the arenas is one of the coolest good guys ever. So I enjoyed it massively. Again, there's a comment section down there. You can come and tear apart everything that I did have to say. Very sadly, though, you already listened to me, and I can just ignore the comments. So it's not really a symbiotic relationship, but I still appreciate you. Like the video, share it, subscribe. Check out all of our WrestleMania content, especially because my voice is going to go soon. And just to give you a tease, we do have some interviews coming up as well. One of which is the best interview I've ever done. So on that note, I give you a salute. Enjoy WrestleMania Part 2. If you do see this before Sunday night, and if not, let me know what you thought about that too. Maybe John Cena is the brand new WWE champion, and I would bet my ass that he will be. Appreciate you, my friends. I'll see you soon.